Welcome to Rissaroxit and Design by Geeks. Today we're making this wrist pin cushion in the hoop design. It can be made with either fabric straps or with an elastic. This is also a great design for using your scrap fabric. If you're using elastic, this design is done in one hooping, and if you're using the fabric straps, you do it in two hoopings. I'll put the link where you can buy the design and the fabric I used in the video description. You're going to start by making the fabric straps. If you are doing the elastic, skip ahead to the time I have up on the screen. Hoop your stabilizer. You'll want to use tearaway or water-soluble stabilizer for this project. Open the strap file on your embroidery machine. Stitch Design Step 1 onto the stabilizer. This is your placement stitch and is going to show you where you need to put your fabric for the straps. Place the fabric that you want to use for the outside of the straps on top of the placement stitches with the pretty side up. Make sure that your fabric is at least a 1/4 inch larger than the placement stitch all the way around. If you like, you can use a little bit of adhesive to keep the fabric in place, or you can use a sticky stabilizer like I'm using. Stitch the next step of the design, which is a tack down stitch that's going to hold your strap fabric in place. After the tack down stitch, do not trim. If you'd like to add your own design to the straps, you can stitch that after the tack down stitch before resuming the remaining steps of the design. Lay down a second piece of fabric on top of the original placement stitches. If your fabric has a pattern, make sure that the pretty side is down. This is going to be the inner part of the straps and should also be at least a 1/4 inch larger than the placement stitches all the way around. I'm opting for this plain pink fabric instead of a pattern fabric. If you're not using sticky stabilizer, use tape or pins to hold the fabric in place while sewing. Stitch the last step of the strap file. This is going to be a finishing step that will also secure your second fabric while leaving the end open on each strap for turning. Take everything out of the hoop, then trim about a 1/4 inch around the outer stitch line. After trimming, remove your stabilizer. Turn the straps right side out using the hole at the end. A tool like a chopstick or metal straw can help you turn the straps. Iron the straps and then set them aside until later. Hoop your stabilizer. You'll want to use tearaway or water-soluble stabilizer for this project. Open the cushion design on your embroidery machine. Stitch Design Step 1 onto your stabilizer. This is a placement stitch that's going to show you where you need to put your fabric. Place the fabric that you want to use for the front face up, and you want to make sure that it's at least a 1/4 inch larger all the way around than your placement. You can use adhesive or tape to keep your fabric in place, or you can use a sticky stabilizer like I'm using. Stitch the next step of the design, which is a tack down stitch to hold your fabric in place. Unlike some other applique designs, you are not going to be trimming in between steps. Once the tack down is finished, if you would like to add your own design to the front of the cushion, you can stitch that now before stitching the rest of the steps. Stitch the next step of the design, which will create 2 placement arrow marks that are going to show you where to place your straps or elastic. If you're using elastic, cut a 6-inch piece and center it as indicated on the arrows. You want each end of the elastic to go over the stitches about 1/2 inch at each end. Then tape the raw ends in place. If you're using the fabric straps, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to make sure that you place the pretty side down. You're also going to have the raw edge of the fabric sticking out about 1/2 inch outside of your placement stitches. If your wrists are small, you can make the straps shorter by making them extend more. If you're unsure how long to make your straps, err on the side of making them longer. When you add your snaps or Velcro, you can always adjust the size as needed. Use tape or pins to hold the straps in place once you figure out where you want them. My wrists are extremely small, so I'm leaving about an inch over the edge of the stitch line. Stitch the next step of the design, which is going to secure your straps or elastic. Remove the pins or tape after it's done stitching. Next, you're going to lay down the fabric for the back side of the cushion. If your fabric has a pattern, lay it with the pretty side down. I'm going to be using this plain pink fabric. And like before, just make sure that your fabric's at least a 1/4 inch larger than the outline stitches. Then you're going to add a layer of quilt batting on top. Then you can use pins or tape to keep that all in place. The batting is going to make the machine want to get caught on it, so just be careful how you secure that and watch your machine closely as it stitches. It's at this point that my camera decided to stop recording, so I didn't catch the rest of the taping process for you or when my machine stitched the final stitch step. But what you're going to do is you're going to stitch the last step of the design, and that's a finishing step that's also going to secure your fabric and batting, and it's going to leave a small hole at the side for turning. Then you're going to take everything out of the hoop and you're going to trim around the entire design about a 1/4 inch outside of the stitch line. Then you're going to snip the corners. Then remove the stabilizer. Then you're going to turn the cushion right side out using this hole at the side. And you can use a narrow tool to help push out those corners. When you're done, go ahead and iron it, and then you're going to use the hole to stuff it with fluff. Stuff it as full as you like, and then you're going to sew the turning hole closed by hand sewing with a ladder stitch. If you did the fabric straps, next you're going to add Velcro or snaps to close it on your wrist, and you can measure your wrist to determine the best place to put that. And here it is with the snaps added, and I can just fasten that on my wrist. And I can use it to easily hold my pins while I'm sewing. And here's the version with the elastic. And here they both are. Thanks so much for sewing with me today. It's been a joy as always. We'll see you next time. Bye! We hope you liked this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe.